Wrestling fans, are you ready? For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble!
And now, please welcome at this time your hosts, Graham GSM Matthews and RJ Marceau. You're listening to the next era of wrestling radio. This is WrestleRant Radio.
Back here in WrestleRant Radio for Thursday, December 5th, 2024. A whole lot going on in the world of wrestling coming off a Thanksgiving week from last week, Mr. Marceau. How you doing? How was your holiday?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing well. We are heading on into Saturday night's main event next Saturday. We are coming off Survivor Series from last weekend, which we will get into. Saturday night's main event next weekend, and guess what's coming up in 2 weeks? Hoping to still be there. I think I'm planning on being there. Don't know your status, but I still want to go to NXT and Lowell in a couple of weeks. I don't know about you, but I still have that bookmark for December 17th.
I have you penciled in my schedule. So.
Penciled in. Hey, I got to be back in the Lowell Memorial Auditorium. I'm on a fucking retirement tour this month of Boston sites that I haven't been to in a long time. It's the GSM farewell tour. We had the RJ Marceau farewell tour a couple of years ago. I was at the Garden last night, and I want to go to the Lowell Memorial Auditorium again. But the Celtics game last night, I'm still reeling from it. They won. I'm on a high right now. It's actually a very good game. It should not have taken as long as it did to beat the Pistons, who are terrible, you told me. But it was... What
was the final score? I didn't even see what the final score was.
It was close. It was like 100-something. Let me see. Celtics score. I'm looking it up now. It was 120-130, dude. They just barely beat them. It was close. They never were in the lead, were the Pistons, but it came scary close a few different times.
Sounds like a good game.
But it was a good game, though. I was kind of hoping it would be competitive, just because if they completely decimated them, it would have been boring, so... It at least made it interesting. But, same building 9 years ago, TLC 2015. I think our first pay-per-view together. I know we went to SummerSlam, but we weren't we didn't sit together, I guess, at TLC either. But, yeah, 9 years ago. That was after. That awful show. TLC, you know what, was not a great show, but Hell in the Cell was worse. Does that remain the worst show that you've ever been to?
It's...
Either that or the wedding one. The wedding one was a Raw, but that was still pretty bad, too.
I love the wedding.
You still got your tux saved and good to go?
Yeah, no, I think of all the pay-per-views I've ever been to, I think Hell in a Cell 2016 it was the worst.
Had to have been. 3 Hell in a Cell matches?
TLC wasn't the most memorable show either,
no.
But...
I'd rather have a show that we don't remember because it was okay than a show that I do remember for being bad, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, that show is so bad. That was one of the only times I've left the show actually pissed. And I don't even really and the best part is I don't even really like Sasha Banks.
No, that was her first.
Mad.
Yeah, no, that was her first pay-per-view main eventing. The first time the women had main evented WWE, and they announced that ahead of time, I think. And we were like, yeah, this is cool. We're there for a historic, occasion and whatever. And the rest of the show was not great. The main event was even worse. And then she leaves, or she lost. And then we just left, and we're like, I guess that's it. Nothing happened. Charlotte just got the belt back. And then Charlotte lost it back to Sasha 2 weeks later anyway. Just beyond fucking random. But they did a lot of that stuff back in 2016. It got me thinking, though, because I was telling Mike, when we went to the game last night, I was telling him, WWE run shows here all the time. They'll be there for Raw, actually, in a couple weeks. AEW ran there twice for Blood and Guts last year that I was there for, and the Mercedes Moné debuted, the night that she debuted back in March. And they filled in a pretty good crowd for that show in March. Have you seen some of the attendance numbers for their recent AEW shows? I mean, I think they sold 600 tickets for a show coming up in a month. And not to completely shit on them, but I mean, that's just not good. The Dynamite show last week was
I saw the discourse between them and GCW because they booked the Hammerstein right after they did. I mean, even last night I didn't see a ton of the show, but they get the snippets, they post snippets, little, and they showed Rochelle coming out. I'm like, how big's that crowd? They looked like there was no one there.
It sounded better than it has in the past. I think they're doing I haven't been to any shows recently. They went to Bridgeport, my favorite arena, like a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, I go to most shows that come around here. Almost every single one, I was like, I'm not going to that one. It's just absolute shithole over there. I mean, you almost got your fucking car stolen. I think everyone did. Anytime that you park over there, it's just an awful area. It also takes like an hour to get in and an hour to get out, and it's not even that far. But, yeah, no, I don't know what arenas they're running now. I think that we've talked about it before, but their bigger issue is the fact that they run bigger arenas and they fit in like 1,000 people in like a 10,000 person arena. That's like the issue. And the ratings aren't that much better. They did 500,000 last week for their pre-Thanksgiving show. And that's not like a new thing. I mean, they've done their Thanksgiving show, their pre-Thanksgiving show, every year now for 5 years. And that was the worst. The weakest rating they've done. The weakest rating they've done on a pre-Thanksgiving show in a long time.
Too. I saw the thing. It was like I think last year was like 8 something. This year they were like 200,000 less.
Yeah, they got to figure their shit out. I mean, the product itself isn't great anyway, but like, it's not even like. I mean, it's not like listen. Very few things are worse than WWE in 2019, but like, the lack of buzz there is definitely noticeable. But listen, they did have a pretty decent year overall as far as like matches and pay-per-views, and that leads me to my next shameless plug here. You can vote now in the WWE AEW Year in Review Awards for 2024 right now on WrestleRant.com. Just scroll down the homepage. It should be right there. Click on the link, and you can vote 10 categories. Mr. Marceau, I ask you every year. I know you stuffed the ballot, as you always did. You are my guinea pig, and thank you for letting me know that certain things you couldn't see, because that allowed me to change it, and it should be fixed now. But you voted in the polls, you voted in the categories. What were your overall takeaways? Be honest with me. Was it bad, terrible? Was that a reflection of the year that we had in wrestling? What were your thoughts?
Honestly, I just did it to make sure it worked for you. I honestly just picked the number first person to everything. I wasn't really looking into that. Like, this wasn't like my real vote. I was trying to be a good friend and make sure everything worked out.
Can you go back and vote again? I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I did it through my phone last time.
Oh, so that's what you did last time. You can find different VPNs and all that other trash and just do it.
Stuff the ballot.
Stuff the fucking ballot. So when the polls come in and the votes come in at the end of the month, and it's everything you voted for.
I thought it was pretty good.
All right. Yeah, well, it was tough to come up with some stuff because some things were difficult. Like, honestly, for example, the men's match of the year, even in AEW, they had a lot of great matches. WWE, like, there were a number that came to mind. But, like, for women's match of the year, not a great year for women's matches in WWE. Like, there weren't many standouts. Like, there were a few at Mania I thought were very good. The women's Money in the Bank was good. The women's Rumble, like women's WarGames, which we'll get into, was not a good match. But just overall, there weren't a lot of matches that stood out. There might have been more from AEW, actually, that stood out than the ones.
Do you know which category was tough tag team of the year?
Dude, I think we'll talk about it, but the tag teams are tough.
Now, and I'm pretty sure when I looked at it, that might have been one of the only ones I actually looked at the people, and I was like, I don't even know how to vote for this.
Tag teams, we'll talk about it when we review the results in a couple of weeks, in 3 weeks, but I had a tough time coming up with the tag teams. I had to put someone, I kind of fucked up because I put Nathan Frazier and Axiom in there, because I think if you watch it, not everyone watches NXT is the problem. If you watch NXT, I think it's safe to say they were the tag team of the year. They're a great team, and they've had a lot of great matches. But I didn't put Roxanne Perez in the women's one. It's hard to put. I should have put her in the women's one if I'm going to put them in the tag team one, but I forgot, so I left her out. But that was like the only like tag team of the year for me. Like I said, we'll talk about the tag teams in a couple weeks and who won each award and shit. But like both companies, not even just WWE or AEW, but both companies did not have a great year for tag team wrestling. No team had really stood out. Like it got down to the point where I'm considering, do I put Awesome Truth in here? Do I put the Outrunners in here? Like, that's how low of the bottom of the barrel that I got for including certain tag teams. I'm like, I'll just put the fucking Bloodline in there because they were tag team champions at one point. So, yeah, just not a great year for tag team wrestling. We'll get into that when we review the results in a couple of weeks. I think the last day to vote is December 25th, Christmas itself. But why wait? You can do it right now over at WrestleRant.com. But speaking of AEW, no news on that front, but I do want to mention this. This did come out, I think, on Sunday or Saturday around Survivor Series time. But it was reported that Pentagon Jr. is actually officially a free agent. He actually is free contractually from AEW. Rey Fenix is not going anywhere. His contract was extended well into 2025, reportedly, I think, per Fightful. And he's not going anywhere anytime soon. So, because they added injury time, and not only are they not letting him go, they don't even plan to fucking use the guy. So that's not good. But Pentagon could show up in WWE any day now if they wanted him or if he wanted to. So what's your take on Pentagon? Do you think he's WWE bound imminently, or do you think he would wait until Rey Fenix is free to go to WWE?
Yeah, I mean, it all really depends on how long Phoenix is still in AEW. I know they added injury time to him, and he had a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
And I heard it could be up to a year, so... I mean, it really just depends on how long it takes Phoenix to get out of his contract. I mean, I think you can bring in Pentagon first and, like, kind of get him situated, and then when the time's right, when Phoenix can then come in and, like, help him. But, I mean, I don't think Pentagon's that young. I know Phoenix is in his early 20s, but I think Pentagon's a little bit older, so...
Yeah.
I would say bring him in, like, a little bit before... You can get Phoenix, and then when the time's right, once he's ready, then you can bring Phoenix in. But like I said, I mean, or you can just do like AAA stuff in the meantime, and then they bring them in together. But I think bringing in Pentagon first, then bringing in Phoenix would help like get them situated to the WWE crowd.
I agree. I think you could do some stuff with him on his own as a single star, whether it be on the main roster or NXT or whatever, just to kind of, like you said, get him situated with the WWE environment. Style, exactly. Would you put him on NXT first? Or because, especially when you look at the men's division in NXT right now, whether it be the mid-card, the main event scene, like we're getting a main event, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Trick Williams and Ridge Holland are facing each other for the NXT Championship on Saturday. Not exactly the sexiest main event. So would you put him in NXT or straight away to the main roster?
I mean, you could start him off in NXT and then bring him up. Like I said, maybe you just put him in NXT to get used to it and then call him up after.
Well, on SmackDown, too, I think NXT wouldn't be a terrible idea. But if you put him on SmackDown, we'll talk about the Nakamura thing. I know you weren't a fan of that like I was. Like, I'm not saying that you weren't a fan and I was. I also was not a fan of it, which we'll talk about in our Survivor Series review. But, you know, there was... If you look at that match from Saturday at Survivor Series with Nakamura becoming champion, not exactly the deepest division right now in the mid-card scene on SmackDown at the moment. So maybe you could put him in that division, you know? Maybe he's in the United States Championship mix. I think NXT would be cool, but maybe make a splash and put him right on SmackDown from the get-go. I don't know. How about that? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you can do that too. Like you said, outside, I mean, I feel like there is a decent depth that just, I mean, at that point, LA Knight had already beat all the other heels, so... Yeah. I guess if he beat Shinsuke, who else was there for him to beat? But, I mean, I guess you could add a little more to the mid-card.
Yeah, especially if they don't break up Waller in theory anytime soon. We still don't know about that. I mean, they should have split up a long time ago, but they would be another two fine additions to the mid-card on SmackDown that could use some more stars. They're not doing shit with Vinci. They're not going to do shit with Vinci. They have some talented people on SmackDown, but they need to fill out the mid-card a little bit more, and I think Pentagon could be a good fit if they were willing to bring him in anytime soon, make a splash from the get-go, and if he wanted to come in right away and not wait for his brother, and they can always put them together as a tag team down the road. Other one quick news thing that I do want to mention here that Fightful put out, I think yesterday, got to talk about this, because I feel like it's every fucking December, every early December, every single year, we get these reports, get these, rumors, whatever, about The Rock. Is he going to be at WrestleMania? Will he not be at WrestleMania? Apparently, the latest update is that he is not currently scheduled for WrestleMania 41, and that they are operating under the impression that he will not be there, and they are planning for alternate plans for the WWE title, because it looked like we were getting Rock and Cody, but if they don't think he's going to be there, they're already planning and building towards other stuff. Now, it's December, so they kind of have to start figuring out where they're going now. We can't have a repeat situation from last year where Rock is like, oh, I can do it, oh, I can't do it, oh, I can do it, and then he is doing it, and they have to fuck up their whole plans. Like, we can't go through that again. We can't have a pivot part 2, and they've already pivoted other times in the past as well. What's your take on that? Do you think that could just be a bunch of bullshit and Rock will indeed be there? Or do you think it's legit that he actually is or could be busy by Mania and he might not be on WrestleMania 41 after all?
It's a great question. I feel like it could be like a swerve to get people off the scent and then you bring him back. But
yeah.
It could just be he's not busy. He is busy. But, like, I just feel like what they did with him and Cody at the end of, like, name the pay-per-view. I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, Bad Blood. Yeah.
What pay-per-view was it?
Bad Blood, yeah.
At Bad Blood, like, why do that? He doesn't know that he's not going to be around? Like, come on. I mean, if he's not around, then that would just be really stupid because they brought him back basically teasing that's where it was going, and now, he's busy, he can't do it now. I mean, like you said, he doesn't know his schedule. That's what I don't get. Like, he's accepting roles and stuff and should know, like, what's coming up. Why would you do that if there's there's something else going on and you're not going to be able to be involved? I don't know. I don't know. It sounds really stupid if you ask me if they're not going that direction.
You know what part of that doesn't make sense to me? Like you said, the scheduling thing. Did he not say to Pat McAfee about a year ago, last September, I think in 2023, we haven't done Rock and Roman yet because, we had to put our pencils down. We couldn't quite figure out how to have it make sense, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't a scheduling thing. I control the schedule. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure he fucking said that. So if he controls a schedule, and I know you're a big advocate for it, but why would he prioritize Moana live action, Moana 3, Jumanji 7, all this other shit before doing the Mania stuff if he's that adamant about doing the WrestleMania stuff? And I think the worst part is it's not like from before when we talked about this a year or two ago where it's like they haven't even set anything up yet for Roman and Rock. They set up Roman and Cody in the post-WrestleMania Raw. So if they don't do it between now and Mania or at Mania itself, it kind of makes that a waste. I know they could always go back to it down the road, but Cody might not be champion. I just don't like the idea that we're revolving all the creative plans around this one guy that may or may not be there because he's filming a movie that no one's going to see anyway.
I mean, I'm definitely out on Jumanji 7. The Moana remake, I'm down for, but
I know you're down for that.
Said,
yeah.
He did say that the scheduling was up to him. So, I mean,
okay.
Like I said, maybe it's just that they're putting it out there to get people like thinking it's not going to happen, and it does. But,
yeah.
I mean, like you said, if he's making Jumanji 7, he doesn't have any time then.
Well, the Moana thing, listen, to your credit, I know I liked the movie too. I didn't love it, but I liked the movie. I know you really liked it. It made a shit ton of money, dude. And he was doing all the promotion for it over the weekend. A far bigger success. And it's a Rock movie, but I'm not going to see it for The Rock. I just wanted to see Moana too. If people were going to see it for The Rock, those same people would have, came out to the theater to go see Red One, which no one saw, and it was a massive flop. And I didn't even mind that movie. I thought it was decent for what it was. On that same note, we didn't discuss this before, but I was watching Moana 2. One of the things that stood out to me about that movie, I don't know how many other animated Rock movies that you've seen, but I feel like he does really well as animated characters. I feel like he shows more depth or range as an actor, as an animated character than he has in any live action movie I've seen in the last decade.
Yeah, I think like you said, I feel like he also usually plays the same character. Like when he first started, he was the badass character.
Yeah.
I feel like in those newer movies, the non-animated ones, he's kind of been all over the place. So maybe he's been like San Andreas, and then he was in that Rumble movie, and then he's kind of been all over the place, and then now he's Jumanji. That was kind of a little comedy role in there too. So I think like you said, the animated, I feel like it just maybe suits him a little bit better.
Well, Jumanji, I will say, was actually, I joke about Jumanji 7. Jumanji was actually probably his best live-action movie he's ever done. But if you look at him in... Central Intelligence was also good. But if you look at him in, Hercules, San Andreas, any movie that he's been in, Red One, but not Burn Notice. I think there was a movie called Red Notice or something that came out on Netflix.
Red Notice he was in. That was with the fucking golden thing that WWE was doing.
Yes, the golden egg. Yeah. Ryan Reynolds was in that. Did you end up watching that movie or no?
No.
It was good, but again, it was the same thing. I enjoyed it for what it was, but it wasn't something I would watch again. It wasn't San Andreas is not a great movie, but I love how bad that movie is, so I like watching that one. The other ones I probably wouldn't watch again. But all of that to say, he's prioritizing that sort of stuff over the Mania stuff. And he was great on the road to WrestleMania this year. He was amazing. But they built the entire thing around him and Cody. So if you go with any other match that is not Rock and Cody, it's going to feel like it's an afterthought to Cody and Rock, which we are going to get at some point, I'm sure. Otherwise, they would not have done that segment. And it probably will be for the belt because Rock said he wanted the championship. Now, let's say he does come back. Let's say we do get Cody and Rock. I don't think it happens at the Rumble. I don't think it happens at Chamber. I do think they do it at WrestleMania. So let's say they do it at WrestleMania, okay? I saw also this week, I think also from Fightful, the current betting favorite, which is usually pretty accurate to win the men's Rumble, is The Rock. I think the current women's Rumble favorite is Becky Lynch. So two people who aren't even there right now are favored to win the Rumble for their respective genders. I don't want to see that. Do you have a different opinion on that? I do not want to see Rock win the Rumble. You can set up Rock and Cody without having Rock win the Rumble, I think.
Yeah, you can definitely set that up without him winning. yeah, I'm kind of out on that.
So let's say we get Cody and Rock. I know we've talked about this before, but just as where we stand right now on December 5th, 2024, what does Roman do? And also, I've had this discussion with other people. Do you do Roman and Rock at Mania? If you were able to, let's say they could do Cody and Rock at the Rumble. Get that out of the way. You got to do that next. You can't wait on that because they set it up. You got to do that next. Let's say they could do Rock and Roman at Mania. Would you do it in Vegas at WrestleMania 41, or would you hold off on it until 42 or another WrestleMania?
I mean, I guess it all really depends. Like I said, you have to do Rock and Cody first. But I mean, if you do that at the Rumble, I would do Rock and Roman at 41. I mean, I just, like you said, I don't want Rock winning the Royal Rumble. That sounds awful.
Yeah, no thanks on that. But I think there are other suitable opponents. Like they say, oh, we have other plans lined up in case Rock is not there. What do you think those plans are? Like, who do you think Cody would face? Is Randy Orton the best possible pick, or is there someone else that would come to mind for you?
I mean, not Roman again, hopefully.
Hopefully not.
I mean, I think Randy would be a good one. I think you could build it up, and like they haven't really gone that way, so I think they have the legs there to get to him and Randy. I think that would probably be my second choice.
Yeah, I think that's doable. If you could do Cody and Randy and Roman and Jacob, I'm still kind of scared they might hold off. What'd you say?
Solo.
Do you
I'm
want
just teasing you. I just had to get you going. I mean, Roman's beat him twice already. Let's move on.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So we haven't seen the one-on-one match, but it's a possibility. You're not saying you want to see it, but that's a match that could happen, though, right? I mean, it could.
It could, but I'd rather see Roman and Jacob than Roman and Solo.
We got to move on from Roman and Jacob or Roman and Solo. Like they've exchanged pinfalls. Great, you could do the one-on-one match. Do it at the Rumble. I mean, even that feels like it's too far away. I would just do it on fucking Raw on Netflix or SmackDown or something. They're not going to, but Saturday night's main event would be perfect. I don't know if they could set that up between now and then. Probably not. It's next weekend, but I mean, I would do that. I know they were teasing, oh, Solo lost, but he's still the tribal chief, I guess, even though he's gotten pinned every fucking big match that he's had this year. But I guess, yeah, I suppose, I suppose he has he could still be the tribal chief until Roman beats him for that imaginary title. But speaking of Saturday night's main event, we talked about Cody and Kevin Owens being announced for that show next week. You told me it's for the championship, undisputed WWE title on the line. And it's got me thinking, could that be where Cody loses the championship, albeit for like a month or two, and then gets it back? We'll talk about predictions for that show next week. But where we stand right now, is there a chance that we could see Cody Rhodes drop the belt on that show and Owens holds it for, if only a little bit?
There's a chance. I wouldn't put my life savings on it, but I would say like there's like a 75-25%, like a 25-75 chance that KO could win. I mean, I don't really love the idea of taking the belt off Cody just to put it back on him.
Mm-hmm.
What does Owens really get out of that? Like, he's just a hot potato champion, but yeah, I still lean no that I think Cody will still keep the belt. But like I said, I think there is a chance maybe to pump up Kevin a little bit. But if he's just going to lose the belt right back to Cody, then what's the point?
Yeah, well, just to switch things up, get Cody back in chase mode, maybe to make that show feel a little more special by making it feel shocking.
What was it, Drew and Randy that did that like a couple years ago? Drew had the belt for like 6 months. Randy beat him, then dropped it right back to Drew.
That was silly. Yeah, this one I'm different on because at least, Randy was champion a fucking dozen times. Like Owens has been champion, but it would be nice if he had that moment. Let me say that. Because I don't know. If he doesn't win here, he's probably never winning that belt again. Or the World Heavyweight title. I'm just convinced of that. But yes, it was Orton and Drew, though, that did that.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think there's a chance. I like KO. I like the direction they're going in. I don't know if he's re-signed, so that could also... I know his contract are supposedly coming up soon, so who knows if that would kind of play in factor at all, but I would keep the belt on Cody. Yeah,
I mean, I'm fine either way. If they want to keep the belt on Cody and they want to have him go undefeated, quote-unquote, until he faces Rock or whoever, that's fine. If they wanted to put the belt on KO for, if only a month or two, hey, that's totally fine by me as well. Because he's been doing great work. I'm enjoying the feud, and it would switch things up on SmackDown, if only temporarily. Speaking about Survivor Series from last weekend, though, 5-match card, I thought, honestly, it was a fine show. I thought it was a good show. I enjoyed the show. Not a great show. I also think it was probably overall their weakest pay-per-view of the year. And that's not to say it was a bad show. That's just to say the other shows were better. Like, even the Saudi shows I thought were better than this. And this one had some very good matches, but maybe it was just the women's WarGames thing. The match itself wasn't good, and it just bothered me that it was even in the WarGames structure. We've complained about it a lot, specifically me in the last month. But, it just wasn't necessary, and I think that was on full display as we watched this match. Your thoughts on women's WarGames? Nia Jax's performance specifically sucked. I mean, you mentioned it before we hit record here. I feel bad because she's had a great year, and we've been praising her for a while now, but she looked like a fish out of water in that matchup, and it was just not very good at all.
Yeah, I mean, we discussed this before the match. I think we both kind of came to the agreement this match probably should have been the traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series match. Mm-hmm. No need to be in WarGames. I mean, they kind of last minute thrown together. The babyface team had a bunch of people that were like feuding against each other at the beginning of the year, never kind of had any resolution, just to face the heels. So it was kind of just thrown together last minute, and the match kind of showed. The amount of furniture that they bring into these matches, I'm just, at this point, just tired of it. Once they brought the toilet seat in, I was like, what are we doing here? The whole point's the cage. Why do you have to bring in you kind of, even for the men did it too, but like I feel like they like knew what they were doing. The women like looking for stuff. They're running around the ring. They have no idea where it's put. Nia looked horrible in this match. We've been praising her, giving her props since she came back, that she's looked pretty good, but I don't know if she just was just not ready or what it was. Like, people were trying to feed her and she just wasn't ready for that. She tried to hit people with chairs and it looked like a toddler was doing it. It was kind of all over the place. The match itself was what it was. I mean, it's just a bunch of furniture and whatever. They had their couple of high spots with Tiffany doing the swanton and Io doing the backflip with the trash can on her head. Babyfaces win. Rhea pins Liv, and then we move on. I mean, it was a fine match, but it didn't need to be in WarGames, and it's kind of, for me at least, I'm just kind of getting over WarGames. It's kind of run its course for me.
Is it safe to say, as we've said in the past, that they are kind of taking the Hell in the Cell route here, where people said from the get-go, Hell in the Cell should not be a pay-per-view. We weren't saying this 2-3 years ago, because I was just happy they were doing WarGames on the main roster, because prior to that point, they weren't doing it at all. And we were there for that first one in the Garden. Speaking of the Garden, it was in Boston 2 years ago. Great show. But yeah, I mean, it's safe to say it can't be an annual thing at Survivor Series. I know they want to hype up this show as like a bigger deal, but just bring back the fucking match when it matters. Like, the men's match made more sense than the women's one. The women's one had no business being a WarGames match. They was doing it just for the sake of doing it. No,
I agree. I mean, you can't challenge someone to a WarGames match, like, but
yeah, of course.
it shouldn't be a yearly thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. They went the safe route with Rhea Ripley pinning Liv. They are doing Liv Morgan and Io Sky for the Women's World Championship at Saturday night's main event next Saturday. Hopefully that means Rhea and Liv is not far off and they do it either on the first Raw on Netflix, which would make sense to me. The Rumble seems too far away. It's fucking February 1st this year. I don't want to wait that long to get the blow off to that feud. Like, we got to end this soon, right? Rhea probably getting the belt back. A cash in here would have been nice, but they didn't go through with it. But I have to imagine the end is nigh for Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, right, for the Women's World Championship.
I'm fatigued out on this feud. I'm done. I tapped out probably 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. I mean, once Rhea got hurt, I tapped out. Now she's back. She pins her hair again. But then we're getting her and Io, which I don't really know why, but okay. We just need to move on. I like Liv, but I feel like the whole Judgment Day everyone in the Judgment Day are like spinning their wheels at this point. So now we're getting Finn and Damian again.
Oh, we'll get to that, yeah. We'll get to that.
Cord. Holy shit! Like, I'm just tired out of the whole Judgment Day, and obviously they're connected with them, and it's just like, move on. I just beat her or lose the belt or just something. I don't know. The whole Liv thing. I feel like all the money was in the chase. Now that she's champion, and I feel like especially because she keeps facing Rhea, and she really hasn't defended. I don't think. Well, she's facing Io here, but besides that, she hasn't defended it. I don't think against anyone else. So it's just like, I don't know. They're just spinning their wheels, and I'm kind of over it.
Yeah, I mean, there's other women on Raw that she can face too, but unfortunately, none of which really mean much at the moment to feel like a threat to that title. So they kind of have to figure that part of the equation out as well. The feud's been it's been really good. It's been a great feud overall, but we're at a point now where I feel that same fatigue. They got to wrap it up. There's not much more they can do. I'm shocked they still have not really shocked, but you still have Rhea and Dominic as a one-on-one match in the chamber there. You could do, not in the elimination chamber, but a bullet in the chamber.
Yeah, you can't challenge the elimination chamber match.
Yeah, that too. Hey, listen, Hunter told us that. Triple H told us in the press conference. Hey, he said you can't challenge someone. I said, of course. Money in the Bank, same thing. Can't challenge someone to it. Which makes sense. Well, guess what, Triple H? It's not the same fucking thing. You can challenge someone to a WarGames match, because that makes no sense. But that's his logic, I suppose. But yeah, they got to wrap the shit up. Hopefully it ends soon. Hopefully in the first Raw on Netflix. And it's not as a case as if like they do Rhea and Dom on that show, and then Rhea has to win the Rumble to face Liv at Mania. Oh my God! If we were
thank you.
No thanks. If we have to deal with this for another 4.5 months. I may not be here by that point. I may have to. I don't know what I would do, but it would not be. It would not be pleasant. Let's put it that way. I don't want to see that until April. That's ridiculous. Speaking of things I don't want to see, and I know you're in the same boat as me. No rhyme intended, and I know we're in the minority. That wasn't intended rhyme. Shinsuke Nakamura, new United States champion, beating LA Knight. Match was good. Didn't mind the match. Crowd was behind Knight. You know, this thing kind of felt rushed. Nakamura only came back 2-3 weeks ago. They put the match together on the pay-per-view because I don't really know why. There were other matches they could have done on the show instead. Fine, whatever. And Nakamura won. I think he cheated, though. I thought he won clean, but he didn't. I think he raked the eyes or something. So it was a cheating win for Nakamura, a tainted win. But for the third time, Shinsuke Nakamura is the United States champion. Listen, I feel like we are in that small segment of fans that actually were not happy about this. And I do agree with the masses where I like the new look. The updated theme song, I did complain on the first night. I thought it was trash, but they remixed it. It sounded cool on Saturday. The entrance looks cool. I think Jason Baker, the same guy that did the Fiend mask, did the Nakamura mask when he walked out on Saturday. That's awesome. I don't give a fuck about Shinsuke Nakamura as United States champion. We talked about this last week. We didn't think he would win. We thought Knight's totally going to win. And Nakamura, who cares about him as champion anyway? Well, clearly people do care, and he did win. So what was your reaction to Nakamura winning the United States Championship on Saturday? I'm sure it was a similar reaction to mine.
Yeah, it was a little puzzlement. Scratched my head. Why probably came out of my mouth. I'm honestly surprised people actually enjoyed this or liked this or thought that was the right decision for him to go over. I'm not clamoring, was never clamoring for another Shinsuke run. LA Knight's been feuding with Carmelo and Andrade the last couple of months. I'd rather see either of them beat him than Shinsuke. So, it just was rushed. Shinsuke just came back, and like you said, they just put it right on TV just for him to beat Knight, and I don't know why. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly if people think it's going to be a new Shinsuke run. He's 45 years old. I don't know. It was after the women's WarGames match, I'm like, oh, we're in for a treat after that. Mm-hmm. Especially after he won, I'm like, this show might go off the rails. The women's WarGame match was not good. This was just, the match was wrestled fine, but there's no need for Shinsuke title runs in 2025. I'm sorry.
I guess my bigger question is, what's the end game here? Well, two things, actually. One, that's my question. My comment is, it's nothing that we haven't already seen. Like, we've seen him as U.S. champion. We've seen him as IC champion. I'm not saying you can't win a title twice or more than once. I'm saying that the other times he held those belts, I would be astounded if anyone could name me 3 matches he had as champion during any of those reigns that stood out to you. And I'm sure most people couldn't even name you fucking one, let alone 3.
I couldn't even name you one that he had, let alone if it was good or not.
Exactly. It's because, not that they don't exist, it's that no one remembers because the reigns did not matter. And he held them, it was not one reign, dude. It was it wasn't a Jey Uso 6-week reign. Who did he face in that 6 weeks? No. Nakamura was Intercontinental Champion twice, at least, maybe 3 times actually, at least 6 months at a time.
Yeah, but I feel like he was also champion around the same time when Ricochet had it.
Yes,
and,
correct.
I couldn't even tell you who Ricochet...
same thing.
When Vince McMahon was running it, and they never even defended the belt, and if he did, it was a throwaway on SmackDown that he probably would never even remember.
Correct. So I guess that's another point. Will it be different with Triple H in charge compared to Vince? And no, I agree. I think the answer is no. Because here's my thing. If he won the world title last year, I would have been cool with that for a little bit, just because it's like, I like the heel work that Nakamura is doing. I think as a heel, he's great. It's just that, like, where the fuck are we going with this? Like, if he had pulled what I said they should do with Owens, where he won it for a little bit and lost it, they could do that with him and Knight. I'm not really sure what the point is. Knight is just so much more over. I'm not really sure why he would interrupt his momentum just to have him lose and get the belt back. That doesn't really make sense. And honestly, I think the other thing, and I tweeted this after the pay-per-view, if you are going to pull that shit, why not do it with an Andrade? Why not do it with Carmelo Hayes? Even Escobar, who's not over. I would have rather seen him in that spot than Shinsuke Nakamura. Who on SmackDown that comes to mind for you could go out there and beat Nakamura for that championship and it would make sense? Because to me, I have nothing. I have no idea.
I mean, Andrade's technically a babyface, but he was just feuding with Knight, so I don't think you put after on him.
And he just lost to Nakamura on SmackDown last week anyway, so I don't know.
Yeah. Trick Williams, if you called him up. Besides that, I couldn't even name you someone.
God bless if we have to wait until after Mania for Nakamura to lose the belt to someone, because I don't think Trick comes up like soon. He'll probably come up in the draft in the spring.
But who's out? Like I said, like what other babyface on SmackDown?
I know. That's exactly my question. I'm literally asking you because I also have no idea. It's not going to be Orton.
Like maybe like if they turn Theory, him and Waller break up and he goes babyface. I mean, Gargano or Ciampa.
Yeah. Could you see a scenario where, Montez Ford, if they actually push the guy. Montez Ford, yes. Could you see a scenario where Theory, though, like he's the fucking saving grace, the same guy who held the title for like 8 months a few years ago, and people were also at a point where they didn't give a shit about him either? Like, that's how bad it would become if they put the. I like Theory. I'm just saying though. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm looking at the SmackDown roster. Besides them, I really don't know who else it would be.
You don't have faith in Giovanni Vinci to be the one to take the title, or no?
I haven't seen him on SmackDown in weeks.
What about Apollo Crews? Been there, done that, or yeah? Hey, listen, I could see it. Crews and Nakamura. If
this old theme and you bring back Commander Aziz, I'd be down.
That's probably his best chance of becoming United States champion again. But yeah, it's an indicament of a bigger problem right now on SmackDown with the mid card. They have a lot of talented people, some of which just don't have direction. Carmelo and Andrade, that whole fucking series could have been over the United States Championship. And it kind of was. LA Knight was involved, but I'm glad Nakamura.
They both lost.
And they just both lost. In the end, they both lost multiple times in capturing that championship. And then you put it on Nakamura, doesn't sit right with me. This could all be for nothing, and then Nakamura loses the belt back tonight, like I said, like in a week or two. But again, what's the fucking point? Why? What would be? I would rather see that. I'd rather see Knight with the belt back than Nakamura. But it's like, then why take the belt off him in the first place? Doesn't make any sense. The Intercontinental Championship match, you talked about how you felt like the show was going off the rails. This saved this show. This match saved the show. Braun Breaker, Sheamus, Ludwig Kaiser. Great match. Breaker retains as we expected. But Sheamus and Kaiser looking really good in defeat here. Your thoughts on the match, and does this mean with Breaker pinning Sheamus to retain that we are not getting Breaker and Sheamus at WrestleMania after all? Is a lot of people hoping that we were?
He's facing Goldberg, so how's he going to...
Hey, you called it, maybe.
So how's he going to face Sheamus when he's facing Goldberg?
Good point.
No, I just... Like you said, I thought the show was going off the rails. I figured this would probably be what would save the show. Since they've kind of treated Ludwig more like not as a lackey, he's been pretty good, and Sheamus has been great too. So this was definitely the match I was looking forward to, and they delivered here. Great match. Nelcom was never in doubt. I don't think anyone thought Breaker would lose the belt. He'd look like a buffoon if he lost it again after like 2 weeks. So he had to win here, but I think Sheamus and Ludwig held their own, and I thought it saved the show, honestly.
Yeah, they had an excellent match. Breaker and Goldberg, you joke, but that could be an actual direction they head in for WrestleMania. I don't know. Sheamus got pinned here. It's not even like he didn't get pinned. It's like, oh, they're protecting him. No, they didn't protect him. Kaiser could have gotten pinned, and he didn't. I think Kaiser's a breakout star, too. Is your dad still a fan of Kaiser, or no? Is he like he's a goof?
No, he likes him.
He likes Kaiser. Okay, I wasn't sure. He's very good. I think he had a great showing in this matchup. Speaking of Kaiser Imperium, Gunther defended the World Heavyweight Championship on the show against Damian Priest. Rematch from SummerSlam. Listen, nothing against the match. I thought the match was good, solid. Liked the match. I thought the SummerSlam match was better. They told a story with Gunther going after Priest's shoulder. Good. Didn't mind this. Crowd died down after the IC title match, but whatever. Finn fucking Balor shows up, okay? And then this one we're not in the minority on. A lot of people on the timeline felt the same way. Finn Balor shows up, attacks Priest, and then Gunther retains. It's not even like they did a different finish than what they did at SummerSlam. It was almost the exact same thing. And Priest immediately lost. He passed out, but still, he fucking lost. Gunther retained, which I was hoping for and I was happy with. But what are we doing, dude? I know you mentioned this before, but just to kind of expand on what we were talking about, why? Are we going back to Finn Balor and Damian Priest? I know Balor's facing Gunther at Saturday night's main event for the World Heavyweight Championship. Cool, bro. But, like, why are we getting Balor and Priest again out of this? Does anyone actually give a shit? Priest beat him clean of Bad Blood, and we moved on from it for a reason, because no one gave a shit, and Balor's not a threat. I mean, I saw this report from WrestleVotes before we hit record here, and they said, they called him a locker room leader. The inside source has called Finn Balor a locker room leader, in that he's also expected to have a sustained singles push heading into 2025. What does that mean? Like, he's not winning the world title. Does he need to beat Damian Priest? Finn Balor is not Nakamura territory, but we're getting to that point where it's like, so many start and stop pushes, it's impossible to fucking care. Like, he had heat after he turned on Priest, and then he lost clean. So why are we going back to this? Do you have a good reason as to why we're going back to this? Because I don't.
Just like the Rhea Liv stuff, I was so over Damian and Finn, and like we said, like he got beat twice. Even with Rhea, like besides like the cheating, she's beating Liv up at every turn. So they beat them at Bad Blood, her and Dominic. I'm like, okay, and then she got hurt allegedly again, and she pinned her hair at Survivor Series. Like, move on. Mm-hmm. And Damian's beat Finn in every stop. So why are we going back to this? Yeah, there's no reason to. Damian gets nothing out of this. I mean, I fear that this might be the direction for WrestleMania. They're just going to keep going back and forth until they have... Here's the thing. Here's what we have to acknowledge here. I love the long-term storytelling from Triple H in a lot of instances. This is an instance where it hurts the overall product, because you don't need a feud that is a mid-card feud at best going on for 8 fucking months. Like, at least with Rhea and Liv, they've been consistently feuding. But the Damian and Finn one, Damian has beaten him in singles matches. Rhea hasn't gotten the belt back, so at least you can wait. Like, that's the end game here. What's the end game with this one? I mean, Priest already beat him, so what does he have to gain from beating Balor again? The answer is nothing. No, there's nothing. He's not going to gain anything, but at least he's going to, like, get back at him for costing him the title. I have fucking no idea. Again, but that's the thing. He did it the first time, too. He cost him the title, and then he beat him. So he cost him the title here, and then he's going to beat him again? Like, I thought we already did this. Hey, like, he's getting that big push, so he has to get a win back. Push? What, out the door? Like, what is that even? I just don't know what that means. Like, let's think logically here. Looking on the Raw roster, is he facing Braun Breaker for the IC title? Again, he's already held that title. I don't really care about that. A move to SmackDown on his own? Maybe. But let me ask you this. Where are we going with Judgment Day? The Judgment Day stuff is played out, but, like, they're teasing tension between Finn and Dom. And, like, I could see Dom, Liv, and Raquel going off and doing their own thing. Judgment Day should die one of these days soon. Like, it has no juice at this point. Does Finn break off as a heel, or does he break off as a babyface? What would you rather see? Where do you think they're going with it? I mean, I feel like he's a prick, so it should be the heel, but yeah. I feel like they're not going to cheer Dominic, so... I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, but like you said, it's kind of dead at this point. We're fucking on the fumes at this point. Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely on fumes with this feud. With the group, the intertwining rivalries, the bottom line is we got to move on. Men's WarGames match I thought was much better than the women's. A very good main event. I don't know if it was the best men's WarGames match we've gotten on the main roster so far, but I thought it was a great one. Roman Reigns, the Usos, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk, who agreed to team with Roman Reigns in exchange for a favor that we found out on SmackDown last week. Beating the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga Tongaloa, and Bronson Reed. First of all, as you DM me on Instagram, I agree. The college football-esque intros were very cool. And obviously they treated it like a joke, like the Key and Peele sketch, but that was kind of the point. I think it's wrestling. It is what it is. But I thought that was well done. The actual match was well done. I like the storytelling here with Punk and Roman. They ultimately coexisted, that, a big word that WWE always likes to use. They coexisted, won the match, Roman pinning Solo, another feud, probably not over, unfortunately, but the actual match, I will say, was very good. What were your 2 cents on the match? And I guess we get Roman and Solo after this? I don't know. I hope not. I mean, I thought this was good. I thought the right team won. I like the moment Punk helping out Roman, rip Bronson Reed's ankle, but, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, I don't need to see Solo and Roman again. He just beat him again clean.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on.
Let's please move on. But Roman and Punk, what do you think that favor is that Paul Heyman promised CM Punk?
I don't really know because Roman doesn't have a title, so what's a match against Roman Reigns? Who gives a shit? He doesn't even have a belt.
Not even that. People were saying, oh, what about the main event of WrestleMania against Roman Reigns? How the fuck would Heyman have that sort of pull? That makes no sense.
I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe if that's the thing though. It's not even like Roman's champion. It'd be like, oh, Roman's champion, so he gets a title shot.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what the favor is. I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's kind of interesting. I mean, hopefully there's something there and they're not just winging it, but it's not like he's champion, so I'm not sure exactly what it would be.
Yeah, I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if they cash in anytime soon. I still think it could be a title opportunity, not with Roman, but I could, again, I say that Heyman doesn't have pull. I could see him having pull to get Punk a title match with someone, whether it be not Roman, but like Cody or specifically Gunther probably. I could see that more than like someone said, oh, the favor is giving Punk that WrestleMania main event. Like, what? What the fuck? How does that even work? Heyman's like, oh yeah, Punk's going to main event WrestleMania? No, that doesn't make any sense. Like a title match would make more sense. Having Punk get managed by Heyman again would make more sense. Promising him the main event of Mania makes no fucking sense. That's stupid. Unless we're talking like behind the scenes here and he's going to work out a favor with Paul Levesque. I mean, that's not going to happen. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out in due time. But speaking of Punk, they kicked off the show on Raw on Monday night with him and Rollins, which I thought was fucking great. They kind of went back and forth. They had a pretty pathetic-ass brawl before it got broke up by Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, and then Sami and Rollins went back and forth. Whole thing was great. Talk about that. Talk about the Punk and Rollins stuff first, as far as they've been slowly planting the seeds for this WrestleMania match. And I feel like we're going in the direction of Shawn and Taker from Mania 25, or 26 rather, where Taker was like, no, bro, I'm not facing you. I have nothing to gain from facing you again. And then maybe Rollins cost Punk the World Heavyweight Championship, whether it be an opportunity or the title itself. And then we get Punk and Rollins at Mania. So that's where I see it going. But do you feel the same way? What were your thoughts in that opening segment from Raw?
No, it definitely gave me those vibes. Like, he's looking to fight Punk, and Punk's like, dude, you're in my rear view. Like, I'm not even worried about you.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like Taker Shawn, like you said, with him asking for a rematch. He's like, dude, no. Like,
you have no title. I don't care, yeah.
And like I said, I guess, like, the same thing can happen with Rollins. Like, him and Sami had their little beef, and, I mean, we'll see. I think, like I said, it's where we're going, but I like the way they kind of, like, planted the seeds. Like, Punk's like, I'm over you, and Rollins still wants Adam.
Yeah, no, I think it's cool. I think you could totally go the Taker Shawn route. And Punk saying, like, listen, you had a title 6 months ago, 8 months ago, year ago, whatever, when I wanted to face you, and that's why I wanted to face you. But guess what? Now you don't. I don't even think about you. You think about me. It's a great story to tell, too, because Rollins, not even recently, but, like, ever with Punk, in the last couple of years, ever since Punk, like, teased coming back to wrestling, Rollins, I mean, he's always asked about it, too, obviously, but, like, it seems like he talks about Rollins way more than Punk talks about Rollins. Or Rollins, talks about Punk way more than Punk talks about Rollins. So he does come off as obsessive, and it's a great story to tell, and that was kind of the vibe that it gave to me. But Sami then interrupted Rollins and was like, you created this monster when you hit him in the back with a chair 10 years ago. All the flashbacks and the callbacks I thought were excellent. That set up Sami Zayn and Rollins for the main event that was won by Rollins. Zayn was convinced that Rollins attacked Jey Uso backstage right before the main event. It wasn't said that it was Drew, but Drew did attack Sami Zayn instead. So I thought all this was great. I put on Twitter, this was cinema. I was half joking, but no, seriously, I thought this was awesome. So give me your, I said a lot there, but just give me your 2 cents and everything that we saw on Raw as far as that stuff is concerned.
No, I thought that segment was done well. Like you said, when Sami blamed, it was like, you're mad about how Roman is? It's because of you.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, like, true. Like, without him turning on Roman, like, who knows where we'd get. And then with Jey getting attacked, we obviously thought it was maybe Rollins, and then Drew came out and claymored him, and it was a great ending, I thought, and it kind of gets Drew back in the picture, and he's going after Jey and Sami, seemingly.
After Sami Zayn said that to Rollins, I think in my head, I didn't actually put it out there, but I put up the no lies detected gif, because that's exactly what it was. He was dropping truth bombs out there, as was Rollins towards Sami Zayn when he said, well, listen, you're going to point fingers at me. You did the exact same thing, Royal Rumble 2023. So, again, this is the payoff of when you do storytelling correctly, so I thought that was great. But McIntyre's back. McIntyre attacked Sami Zayn. I think that's a perfectly logical feud to do for now. Obviously, we're not going back to Drew and Punk, thank God. And that was a great feud, but you need to know when to wrap things up. Hint, hint, Rhea and Liv and Damian and Finn. But, I think Drew and Sammy make sense. They were feuding around this time a year ago. They moved away from it because, Brock had to go have a fucking piss fetish or something. And, he had to get wiped away from... Allegedly. I have to mention that. And then he was taken off the Mania card. They needed a new opponent for Gunther, and it ended up being Sami Zayn. So they dropped Punk or Drew and Zayn, rather. And they're going back to it. So I like that. And I guess Bronson Reed may have been in this spot before he got hurt in WarGames. So maybe he ends up sliding into that spot instead. Or we get Bronson Reed feuding with Jey Uso, which would be totally fine with me. That sounds like a fun feud. But McIntyre's back. What were your thoughts on his return on Monday night?
I literally was just going to text you. I was like, I haven't heard anything about Drew McIntyre coming back.
Yeah.
And then literally that night he came back, and I was like, holy shit, Drew's back.
Yeah.
But no, I think he needed, I don't know if needed the time off, but I think he was he was someone that kind of, needed time off. And I feel like it was nice for him to be gone for a little bit, and now he's back. Yeah, no, I thought it was perfectly well done and picking up right where he left off, and it's a nice high-profile program for him. And I don't know if that goes until Mania or if it's just for now, but I like the direction and use of him and Sammy and Jay, and it makes sense, too. And again, it all revolves around Roman Reigns. I love how Roman Reigns is the main character in all of this. I mean, Sammy and Punk and Rollins were all kind of arguing about different things, but mainly Roman Reigns. And Drew also turned heel because of the bloodline fucking him over 2 years ago. I think they've done a great job of finding their nucleus, so to speak, in Roman Reigns and the bloodline, and kind of centering everything around them. And I say that as far as it being interesting, and not just because they're putting all their eggs in one basket. No, I think it's done well. Like I said, I feel like these people turned, or it's even with Cody
Yep.
and Kevin Owens, it's all based on Cody teaming with Roman. So, I mean, I think it all makes sense, and it's these heels are kind of justified in a way because they're obviously pissed about what happened, but now those guys are now good guys, so it kind of gives you a different dynamic. Yeah, I love the dynamic. I think it's very well done, and they're keeping me intrigued going into the holiday season. They're certainly not phoning it in with Raw right now, at least in the post-Survivor Series Raw, but we didn't even mention the biggest thing that happened on the show, the New Day. I can't even say split, but their big angle, we were wondering, are they going to go their separate ways? Will they stay together? I was convinced that what Big E said here, he did come back, sky's blue. But what he said, I thought they would do. I thought Big E would come back, and he would be their manager before they won the tag team titles again. And then that did not fucking happen. And instead, they're no, dude, you are not here. And you left was this random? Yes. And I know they've been arguing, specifically Woods has been a heel in all of this. Kofi showed no signs of having any animosity towards Big E at all until now. I know he wasn't around, but they never made a single comment oh yeah, we miss Big E, he hasn't been here to help us. This came completely out of nowhere, but that was the point. They wanted to shock you. But I still thought the angle was great. They kicked Big E to the curb, and it did give people more optimism that Big E could end up being cleared after all. So the New Day is sticking together, at least Kofi and Woods, but as heels. So would I have ideally liked to see them go their separate ways? Yes. But if they were going to do this, they went the most interesting direction possible that they could have without breaking them up entirely. And they're going to be heels for the first time in a decade, and if they do this, they got to do something completely different than what they've done in the last 10 years. But what were your thoughts in this segment? Did it feel random to you or rushed? What was your overall takeaway on this? Like you said, I feel like it was shocking is an understatement. This is probably the last thing I saw coming.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, I mean, they never really brought up Big E, comes back, and then, you left us, da-da-da. So it was kind of random in that aspect, but, I think in a good way, makes them more interesting if you're going to not split them up. So since they didn't split them up, at least this gives them something to make them more interesting. And then, I mean, I think seemingly you would have to assume that Big E's close to being cleared or something I feel like the payoff's him coming back and like beating their ass. So I mean, we'll see what happens, but I think it was a good shock, and like I said, I think they need a fresh coat of paint. So going heel and doing something totally different than the whole like bootios and all that stuff. Like I think it was, if you're gonna keep them together, it was much needed.
Yeah, and I think too, like you said, it was very shocking. If you are gonna go in a different direction with this, I would even ditch the New Day name, like the theme song, obviously too. But like, I don't know what you would call them. I fear they might come up with something stupid.
The Death Riders.
That might be taken, but I honestly, I don't mind that name. The faction itself doesn't do much for me, but the Death Riders name, I actually kind of like that. Makes me think of Ghost Riders, but you know, I don't know. I don't know what anything but like the Evil Day or like the old, like that would just be stupid.
The OG New Day.
What is this? The Bloodline. I'm on board with this, though. I think this is cool. But yeah, you kind of mentioned it there. Does this give you more optimism that Big E will, in fact, be cleared? I still think he will be for at least a one-off. But now I'm kind of thinking that they know something that we don't, and that we might get that New Day triple threat at WrestleMania after all. Unless they just did this as an open-ended thing where if he doesn't come back, then this was his send-off.
Yeah, I mean, I think the payoff is like them turning on him. Obviously, like, the sympathies with Big E, broke his neck, and they were like, "You've left us. Like, what do you want?" They were like, "He's been trying to come back." Like, he was very sympathetic here, and obviously, like, the fans are on his side. So I feel like the payoff is him coming back and like proving them wrong. But like I said, if he can't come back, at least we got them heel in a different direction than what they were doing before.
And they got to capitalize on it. I mean, I don't want to see them out there challenging for the tag titles. I mean, the fucking Judgment Day are tag team champions still, so I don't see that happening. I don't need to see them in the War Raiders again. Like, just give me them feuding with, like, top baby faces. Like, I want to see Kofi and Sami Zayn. Woods and Jey Uso. Like, shit like... I mean, actually, we did see that, I think. Yeah, they did do Woods and Jey Uso.
Jey beat him for the belt.
Yeah.
Defending the belt against him.
There you go. There's Jay's next program. Jay and the fucking New Day, or whatever they're going to call themselves, because Jay's like, yo, why the fuck are you treating Big E like trash? Like, I thought we were friends, and then they... beat the shit out of him, too. Listen, I feel like there's a lot of ways you can go with this, and everyone can benefit. So I thought it was great. This whole episode of Raw was awesome. Overall, Pete Dunne losing to R-Truth in 90 seconds, notwithstanding. But overall, it was probably the best Raw of the year. Big post-WrestleMania Raw vibes. And the fact it was only 2 hours, even better. They're going back to 3 hours in a couple of weeks on Netflix, but I'll take it while we can get it. Last thing for you here, Mr. Marceau. NXT Deadline coming up on Saturday. We have a full card of 5 matches for this NXT show, and as always, these challenge matches, the Iron Survivor Challenge matches, are the main attraction of this show. Lola Vice, Jada Parker, Your Girl, NXT Underground match. Lola Vice, I think, is 1-0 in the stipulation. She beat Shayna, I think, at Battleground a couple of months ago. What do you think we get here? Do you think Jada Parker gets another win over Lola Vice, or does Lola Vice get one over on Jada Parker?
I mean, booking 101, Lola wins here. I mean, Gio laid her out on NXT on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think Lola will win. I think the money's in Jada in the future, but I think we got Lola winning here. But I think Jada's someone they need to keep pushing, because she has a great look. She's decent enough in the ring, and I don't know, I feel like she has star vibes a little bit. Yeah, she's got that aura about her. And I say your girl, Jada Parker, but I mean, Lola Vice is also someone that you've been high on as well. I mean, she's all, listen, I shit on the fucking, the constant shimmying thing, which she has not done in a while, actually. But she's also very good in her own right. She's probably a better worker, actually, than Jada Parker is at this point. But you see more dollar signs in Jada Parker than Lola Vice? I do. Interesting. I think both of them have a bright future. I think Jada Parker is well on her way. Nathan Frazier and Axiom versus No Quarter Catch Crews, Miles Bourne and Tavian Heights. The tag team division's a fucking mess. I don't care about any of these teams. I like these guys, but they're not an important team. This feels like an NXT TV match to me. Should be a fun match, though. Nathan Frazier is pulling double duty between this match and the Men's Iron Survivor Challenge. I feel like every time I pick Frazier and Axiom, they lose. Every time I feel like I don't pick them, they win. I'll say they retain here, but I don't know. They've been teasing tension for like a fucking year now, so I don't know where they're going with this, but I'll say they retain. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, they've been teasing tension for so long. I just feel like we always pick them to lose and they retain. But I know Frazier, I believe he's in the men's Iron Survivor too. Yeah. I'm gonna say we get new champions. I don't know. I just feel like they've been teasing tension. Maybe they lose the belts here and it leads to something in the main event. But I'll go with the no quarter catch crew guys.
Okay, bold pick, but I could see it. I mean, just because they want to do something different, and Frazier and Axiom have been champions on and off for long enough now. NXT Championship on the line here. Funnily enough, of our 3 deadline shows that we've gotten in the last 2-3 years since 2022, every single installment has had a NXT champion, the NXT champion, against the former main roster star. 2 years ago, it was Apollo Crews and Braun Breaker. Last year, it was Baron Corbin and Ilya Dragunov. This year, it's Ridge Holland challenging Trick Williams. Again, not the sexiest match on paper. I think it will be a good match. I like Ridge Holland, actually. I'm probably in the minority there. I think what they've done with him has been good since the heel turn. I don't think he needs to win the NXT Championship. I think this is just an easy win for Trick, but they're trying to make you think Trick doesn't have a chance because he got attacked on Tuesday. I'm still picking Trick, but what do you think? Does Trick retain, or do we have a new champion in Ridge Holland on Saturday?
Before I get there, I kind of agree. I kind of like Ridge as a heel. I think he's done better work in NXT. Maybe, hopefully, when he gets called up, maybe he won't get the same treatment as Corbin and Apollo did when they got called back up. But no, I like what they do in the Ridge, but I would keep the belt on Trick.
Yeah, I agree. No, yeah, I agree. Hopefully, especially with Corbin and Crews, they amounted to absolutely nothing. Corbin got fired, and Crews, you would think he got fired. He's never on the show. So, yeah, hopefully it goes better for him than it did for them on the main roster when he comes back. And it's not like he had a great run the first time anyway, so they could always redeem him by bringing him back at some point. Women's Iron Survivor Challenge match. Obviously, winner challenges for the NXT Women's Championship at NXT New Year's Evil next month. This is a stacked match and honestly very unpredictable. I know Ren Sinclair. I like Ren Sinclair. We talked about her a week or 2 ago. She's good. She ain't winning here. I think the only reason why she qualified was so she could take all the pinfalls, to be honest with you. So she's not winning. But we have Sol Ruca, Stephanie Valkyr, Zarya, and Julia. Stephanie pinned Roxanne at Halloween Havoc. Zarya pinned Roxanne in that 10-woman tag match about a month ago, and Julia got screwed at Halloween Havoc, or on the CW debut show. And Sol Ruca's never faced Roxanne. I have no idea, so I'm going to throw it to you first. Who do you think is going to win? Ruca, Valkyr, Zarya, Julia, or Ren Sinclair?
Kid got me on the ropes. I was like, thank God you're going to answer this one first. This is a tough one. Honestly, my first thing is, what's the over-under on how many times Ren Sinclair gets pinned?
I'm going to say she gets pinned at least 3 times, if not 4.
Okay, over-under 3. I'll get the over on that. I think she'll be more than 3, but we'll go with that as the median. I like her a lot, but, I mean, I think you said it best. She's there to eat a lot of pinfalls. I think she's good. She's probably the least developed or least pushed out of all these women, so it makes sense. I mean, the other women in that match were like superstars compared to her, so her winning, I feel like you said, kind of just hopefully eating a lot of pinfalls, but I do like her. I think she's got a good look and good for her, but she's not winning here. This one is a tough one. I think it's between, I like Sol Ruca, but I don't think she's going to win. I think it's really down to Valkyr, Zarya, and Julia. I guess for me, it just depends on who they want to win the belt, because I don't think she'll make it out of New Year's Evil with the belt still without Roxanne. I just feel like their money was in Julia. I like Julia. I like Valkyr too. I'm not a big Zarya to me. I guess she hasn't really grown on me, but I think Valkyr and Julia both have champion on their horizon. I know Julia was a little bit more touted. I'll go with Julia. I wouldn't be against Valkyr winning, but I think it's between her. Actually, I'll go with Julia, but I wouldn't hate it if Stephanie Valkyr won either. Yeah,
I wouldn't be upset with any of these women. They're all baby faces too, I think. So I mean that makes it. I mean that's why I think any of them could win. It's not like Cora Jade's in there. Cora Jade ain't fucking winning, so that's probably why she's not in there. You know what? I'm gonna pull what you pulled with the tag title match and with the bold pick. I'm gonna say Sol Ruca wins. I think Sol, because we haven't gotten Roxanne and Sol Ruca yet. I think they might want to do that before she has her drop the belt. I think it would make sense if Roxanne lost at New Year's Evil, like you said. You're going the logical route. I'm just going completely off the rails here, because I feel like Stephanie, Julia, and Zarya are kind of tied in terms of who should get the next shot. So I'm going to go Sol Ruca and pulls out the surprise Trick Williams win from last year, but honestly, any of these women I would be content with.
And then she doesn't win at New Year's Evil, and we have Roxanne champion for
at least another month or 2, yeah. Maybe Mania. Honestly, I could see her losing the belt on Mania week. I don't think Roxanne's going to beat all of these women. Like, I don't see her beating Julia. If she faces Julia again, Julia's fucking beating her. But, like, would she beat Stephanie and then lose to Zarya? Like, I don't know. It's tough.
No. I mean, like you said, maybe it gets to the point that we go to Mania, it's a fatal 4-way.
Yeah. I could see that.
I do like Roxanne a ton, but I just feel like with these other women, because I like what do you do with Kalani Jordan at this point, and these other women who are kind of just there. Like, I mean, did they call them up? I mean, I like Kalani a lot, but like you said, she already lost her belt to Henley. She's not going for it here. I mean, I guess you could do like something like Parker and Vice, do something that's not for a title, but I mean, if she's not going for the main title, really don't know what you do with her.
Yeah, no, but you're right though. I feel like if anyone's going to get called up, you call up Roxanne. I mean, she's been there for three fucking years.
She could have got called up last year, so they called up Lyra.
Yeah. So yeah, they should probably take the title off of her. I don't know if they take the title off of her in New Year's Evil. I mean, I don't think she'll get called up until the draft. I know they called up like Breaker before WrestleMania last year and Tiffany, and they weren't even on the Mania card. I don't think so. It didn't even really end up mattering, but. Yeah, like Lyra was champion until Mania weekend, lost, and then got called up. I could see the same thing happening with Roxanne. Unless she loses at New Year's Evil, like you said, and then she tries to get it back and loses again, maybe. I could see that. Maybe they could do like fucking Roxanne and Stephanie non-title at WrestleMania weekend while Julia's champion or Zaria's champion. A lot of different ways. Hey, listen, when you have a stacked division like this, there's a lot of different directions they can go in. Not a bad direction. It's a good problem to have if Roxanne's still champion, because she's probably had the best women's title reign of any woman this year in WWE. Last match, though, men's Iron Survivor Challenge. Winner challenges for the NXT title at New Year's Evil next month. We got Wesley, Javon Evans, Nathan Frazier went out with the NXT Tag Team Champions. Ethan Page and Eddie Thorpe. Now, this one's a lot easier to predict. Ethan Page is not getting another fucking title shot. We've done him in Trick a million times. Tired of it. Move on. I'm glad he's in this match. He's not fucking winning. Frazier's one half of the Tag Team Champions. Unless they really shock us, he's probably not winning here. Eddie Thorpe, they showed get attacked on Tuesday at the end of the show. I feel like he just might get replaced, but I don't know by who. Maybe Lexis King attacked him. I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Could be Oba.
Ooh. I mean, yeah, we haven't seen Oba since Halloween Havoc. Yeah. I could see that. I'm going to say Wesley wins just because they previously teased Trick and Wesley and they haven't done it yet. But I don't think Oba's in the match if he's not winning. But I'm going to go Wesley. So your pick for the match and who you think replaces Eddie Thorpe if he does get replaced. Because otherwise, why would you do that angle?
Yeah. I mean, I think out of the people in the match, like you said, it's pretty simple. I think Wesley wins out of the people that we see here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's really the only heel besides Ethan Page. He's not going for the belt again. With Thorpe, I mean, like I said, it could be Oba. I think they did a thing. Lexis King, no thank you. He's a heel anyway, so it's not like he'd face... Well, I guess he would face Trick, but no. I mean, They need to figure out what they're doing with him before they start pushing for title matches. I feel like every time I see him, he loses anyway, so...
Yeah.
Just pushing him to a title match doesn't really make sense. So I'll go with Wesley. Like I said, it could have been Lexis King. Because I know they had like a little pre-tape before the match, and then the Thorpe won here. But I mean, no thank you for him winning right now.
Yeah, no, and we talked about Thorpe before. Like, I think he's good, but like, I'm just not seeing the whole charisma character part. Like, I know he's a good wrestler, but even what they're doing right now with him, like, complaining and shit is probably the most interesting thing he's done, but even that's pretty basic. So I don't know. I need more time on him. Like, when he came out last year, I think he caused Dijak because they were feuding at the time. He caused Dijak the Iron Survivor Challenge when I was there at Deadline, and you could hear a fucking pin drop. People were like, who the fuck is that guy? Like, no one even knew who he was. And he's been off TV. I think he was hurt. Again, like him, just don't really care currently. So I'm going to go Wesley here. I think we get Wesley and Trick at New Year's Evil. So that's NXT Deadline coming up on Saturday. We'll talk about that next week. We will preview Saturday night's main event for next Saturday next week as well, and whatever else goes down in the world of wrestling. But like I said earlier, be sure to vote. I know you already have Mr. Marceau, but for everyone else, I guess you could vote again because your stuff on the ballot. WrestleRant.com, WWE AEW 2024 Year in Review Awards. Vote now, 10 different categories. We will be breaking down the results in 3 weeks' time here on the show. So have a great one, Mr. Marceau. Enjoy the week, and I'll catch your ass next week, brother.
See you later, man.
Join Graham GSM Matthews and RJ Marceau every Thursday as they run down their weekly wrestling rants, offer expert analysis, host exclusive interviews, and more. Subscribe today on all your favorite podcast platforms and never miss an episode of WrestleRant Radio.